Hello to all our esteemed viewers. Welcome once again to People and Politics. This is Life Center Network TV, your gateway to possibilities. And we are live on the show, People and Politics. As you know, People and Politics is a show we bring your way to sensitize Christians on the need to be involved in their day-to-day and also talk things that affect people and also politics. So today we are going to be discussing topic and I have a guest I am Becky. And our scripture, our Bible scripture is chapter 13 verse 1, and it says, "Let every soul be subject unto higher power, for there is no power but of God, the powers that are ordained of God." With me in the studio today is Pastor
David Olabode Oluwaseun.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I've been busy.
Okay, it's nice having you in the studio again.
Thank you.
I hope we'll be seeing you more often now.
I'm very sure I can create time.
Okay, so we are discussing on a topic that says how to deal with or work with a difficult boss. So first of all, I know everybody will say, my boss is very difficult. My boss is a very difficult person. My boss is a very difficult person. Sir, please, who is a difficult boss?
Now, before we go into that, I first want to talk about who is a boss.
Okay, who is a boss?
A boss is a person in a system that is in charge of an organization.
Okay.
And then he has responsibility over the staff and decision making.
Okay.
That if we are to give it a general definition. But there are different things you can look around a boss. A boss, if you want to talk about a difficult boss have different attributes by which you can identify them. Okay. Number one, they are not very good listeners. When you say somebody is a boss and does not listen, that makes him difficult because you can't really work with a person that you don't listen to.
Okay.
Yeah, your ability to listen is what determines your capacity to communicate. Without active listening, you can't get the real indices needed for a communication to be fruitful. And every time somebody comes to you and discusses an issue with you, is looking for answers. And so one of the things you use to to identify difficult bosses, they are not very good in listening, and they are very micromanaging. Micromanaging because when they give you an assignment, they put all eyes on you and they don't allow you to think. Micromanaging is an act of a boss who doesn't trust your capacity to deal with an assignment. And so another thing you can see to know if your boss is difficult is they sometimes can be very disrespectful. Some of them can be very rude and insensitive to you. You know, most of the time when you work with a boss, you really desire that the boss will be sensitive to your plight, your situation. There is a difference between a boss and a leader. A boss really don't care what you're going through as far as you are delivering the assignment. A boss is more assignment conscious, but a leader is more people conscious. A boss just wants a delivery of a task. He doesn't care how you get it done. You understand? Most of the time they are very transactional in character, but a leader is transformational. It doesn't concern a boss whether your life changes working under him. What matters to a boss is his company changes, gets better. But a leader is a little different from that. A leader doesn't want you to go into a work with him without seeing you getting out of the place a better person. So you see, a boss is very transactional in his mentality. All he's thinking about is why he employed you, how much he's paying you, and then you work your life out to indicate the amount he's paying you, gets justification. That's how they do. Now, how do we deal with such difficult bosses?
Yeah, I'm coming from.
Number one is when you are face to face with a boss, you see, because you can pray for a job, you can pray that God should open a door for you. God can do that, but you can't specify the kind of a boss that God is going to give you. Now, there are some times, depending on the kind of plan God have for you. If God have a plan for you, to get trained and for the potential inside of you to be released, He can give you a very difficult boss. What I mean by that is that, if you put a lifting tea, yellow label tea bag, if you put it in a cold water, it will bring out a little bit of its content. You will see that something entered and the water, changed a little color. But if you put it in a hot water, you will discover that everything inside of the lifting bag is going to flow out. Sometimes the best of you can come out, or can only come out when you are face to face with a difficult boss and a difficult situation. Sometimes working with a difficult boss can be a toxic environment, and that's all you need to become who you need to be. You understand? So the first thing is to assess the situation. Be sincere with yourself. You have a boss, and then he's going to be putting food on your table as you work with him. Are you willing to lose this job, or can you be able to manage this relationship to a point that you get what you went in to achieve? Because when you think about reacting, there are two ways you can, actually work with a boss. You can either be reacting or responding. Reacting means you don't like what he's doing, and then you are giving, a similar attitude to the negative situation you are seeing from him. So you can't get nasty with a nasty boss. Assessing the situation means that you have to know, can I cope with this? There is a problem. How do I handle the problem? Do I want to be part of the problem? Do I want to last in this organization? That if you ask yourself those sincere questions, it has a way, it helps you to reposition. For instance, some bosses have issue with inferiority complex.
Okay. How?
Yeah, because when you come in as a gifted staff, let's say you are employed by a company and you are brought under a boss, and it's not the arrowhead, but it's a boss you are going to work with. And then they brought you based on the skill you have. And the man is handling problems around that area. That's why he was also employed. And then you came in, but you seems to be a smart one. You are very skilled. You are intelligent. And then you are trying to deploy the gift that is inside of you. Some bosses can get very uncomfortable because they feel that the more the light comes on you, the more shadow comes on them. So in a way to try to make themselves still relevant, they begin to fight you. They begin to try to push you back, and they start, making you look bad before the management, so that it won't become obvious that you are the one doing the job. So that's number one. And then when you get into such place, don't take it personally. Don't take, having to work under a difficult boss personal, because you need to understand how to separate persons from issues. Now, the issue is this guy is not really getting along with me, and he's really giving me a tough time. But the person that you are dealing with is your boss. And they are going to listen to him as it relates rating of your job. So you have to be able to understand that there are families waiting on you. And then they have thanked the Lord that you got that job. But the only thing is that you are facing something that they are not aware of. And now, how do you keep that job? The first thing you need to do, apart from the fact that you have accessed the situation, is don't take it personal. Don't ever take any negative. It depends on where you put your eyes. If you always look at the negative side of your boss, that's all you'll be seeing. But you have to begin to look at negative things with a positive eyes. In order not to take difficult situation or toxic environment personal, you have to be able to tell yourself, what I'm going through is time tagged. I don't want to mess up in this organization. So whatever that person is doing that you don't like, who is a designated boss over you, You need to understand that I can't take this thing personal. So what I need to do is to separate my boss from the assignment that attached me to him. I hope I'm making sense to you.
Yes, sir.
So when you begin to understand that I don't have to take negative things negatively, I have to look at negative situation that is outside of my control. I can't control this man. I can't change this man, but I can work on myself. Now, the moment you understand that if you can't work on your boss, you can work on yourself, it will help you to be able to manage that relationship that other person may not be able to manage. And when you can start creating the change you desire from yourself, you will discover that the problem will be 50% solved if you can start solving it from your person. Praise the Lord.
Hallelujah.
So that's what I believe. We have to look at that. It will help us seriously. The third thing that I want us to look at, don't let whatever you are going through under that boss, don't let it impact your relationship with that boss. One, don't let it affect the quality of your job. Because a lot of time, if you cannot manage the season that you have to work with a difficult boss, it will start affecting your values for the work. It will start affecting the quality of the delivery of your work. You know, sometimes if you are hanging around a difficult boss and you feel it's not an understanding boss, you understand what I'm saying? After some time, you begin to deliberately or intentionally begin to work, bring down the quality of your commitment to that work. Because after all, how is it treating me? Is it treating me right? Why would I commit myself so much into this work when this man don't have any single respect for me? Why is it that I have to pay so much price to help this man advance when all he has done is micromanage me? When all he has done is speak to me roughly in a public space? When all he has done is sometimes he will deny paying my salary? You understand? When you come to a point where you are able to separate yourself from the decisions you are making, because you can make a negative decision based on a negative boss. You said, I won't kill myself for this work. You can decide to start coming late. You start forming an habit that look defensive. You start defending your honor because you feel that this man doesn't respect me. So the next thing is, in a bid to fight for what you think is not done to you as what you deserve, you will start fighting without knowing. And one of the ways you will fight is, instead of you to give your best to that work, you will begin to work negatively. But you won't know, but you will begin to work negatively. You begin to make compromising decision against that office. For instance, now you can just decide not to come to office and you won't talk to anybody. You can decide to leave earlier than you are supposed to leave. You can decide to deliberately begin to delay the delivery of an assignment because you have been able to justify that my action is right. This man is not treating me well and I won't kill myself over this man.
Okay, you've said a lot, so I want to ask some realistic questions.
Okay.
Because I am a boss.
Okay.
In a situation where from all the points you've listed out and all that,
Yeah.
I'll just start throwing some questions into it. In a situation where let's start from your reactions.
Okay.
Reactions of the staff towards a difficult boss and all that. In a situation where the boss is very nice and understanding, and because you know your boss is nice and understanding, you call in by your work resumes by 8 o'clock, and you call in by 8:30 telling your boss, sir, please, I have an emergency, I won't come on time, because you know your boss is nice and understanding, not because your boss is difficult. Some of these reactions come because bosses are nice and understanding also. So what do you want to say? Do you want to say that person is reacting like that because his boss is difficult, or the boss is understanding?
You know, one of the things we should do when you are working with a difficult boss, or a kind of boss that gives you some air of freedom. You know, if we are not careful, we're talking about, we're talking about two people. A boss who is so nice that he allows you to have some level of freedom. Whether you have a boss who allows you to have some level of freedom, or you have a boss who is inconsiderate, and then he just don't care how you get to the office, just come on time. One of the things I believe we should learn to do is setting boundaries. For instance, if you are working with a nice boss and is very understanding, and then is the type that he feels that he doesn't want to make the work too stressful for you, and he is thinking that I can allow you, for instance, now you give an excuse. My child will be resuming school next tomorrow, so by Monday I will not be clocking in on Monday, and he gives you the permission, and then he said make sure you resume back first thing Tuesday morning, and then you came with another excuse. One of the things that some good bosses do suffer is familiarity from their team.
So don't you think that is what makes some bosses become difficult?
Yeah, I know experientially some bosses were nice, but when they experience some familiar staffs, and then familiarity doesn't have boundary. Familiarity is like you are very you are presuming, you assume, or you preempt your boss that, oh, don't worry about my boss, he won't. This was somebody before, when he was giving you a little tightness in your work, you know that you respect your work, not because you love the work, but because the consequence of getting too familiar with your work. Now you are with a boss who gives you some air of freedom, and then tells you, okay, don't bother, on Monday you don't need to come that early. Yeah, you can come midday, or you can take off Monday, and then maybe by Tuesday you can settle in and clock in as a normal worker. Now, unfortunately, it depends on the level of maturity of the person that the freedom was afforded. A lot of people have abused freedom because they don't even have the maturity to manage the freedom. That's where you see a boss that used to be good and has been good to many people, and then you now see that over time the people that he had given that freedom had abused the privileges, and suddenly you see a man that used to be an everyday good man suddenly become a reactive man, because now he's thinking, if I lower the standard again, that's exactly what I'm going to get from this other stuff. And at the end of the day, somebody that gives a freedom now begin to operate by policy. And as long as he's giving policy, there are many people right now, they will look at it as, this boss is too difficult. But they are forgetting that there are antecedents of his good life and good work to these people that has been over time abused. That's where we are. Sometimes some good bosses were the people that became bad bosses, in an attempt to protect what they used to leave and give people free hand to handle. And over time, they discovered that it was counterproductive to them. And at the end of the day, they came out with another decision: no more nonsense. So you see, a good man now suddenly becomes a difficult man.
Okay. In summary, I think we are going to say it's about drawing boundaries and all that.
Yes, yes,
Because
yes.
even when there are boundaries in office, it makes the work toxic. Because if I'm a boss and these are the rules in the company, and I say you must stay by the rules and you can't bend me, it automatically I'm a bad boss to someone, to some
Yeah,
staff out there.
that's the
Yeah,
way some read it.
that's the way some read it. Another. So I want you, in summary, to underline a a thin line point between following the rules and actually being a difficult boss, because some staff feel, my boss is too straight to the point and can't bend
Ben,
and all that. That doesn't make him
a bad
a
person.
bad person or a difficult boss and all that. So I want, in summary, for you to tell our audience out there the thin line between a good boss and rules and order and policies of a firm.
What we have is, we have a situation, there's a thin line between law. A lot of people, like we said back now, like we said, a lot of people have been misinterpreted. because
Yeah.
the different personality can become your boss. Now,
Yeah.
you have some people that they operate by policy.
Yes.
You see, a bad person, a good person can be called a bad person because he's a principled person.
Yeah.
Most of the time, most principled people are not the type you can easily bend. I think one of the gray area, the negative side of a principled person is that there is not enough flexibility.
Meeting.
Because in leading people, there is one part of leadership called discretionary leadership.
Yeah.
A discretionary leader is the person that does not base all
Relation.
relationship on
Policies.
policies. A discretionary leader is the type that thinks outside of the box of a normal relational setting. He is thinking that, well, if I have to let this kind of thing keep flying, at the end of the day, I will not get the sharp edge that I wanted to get in my organization.
Okay.
You understand? But then, just like I talked about transformational and transactional, a transactional leader can be termed to be a boss because in his mind he's thinking about what we pay you for, do no complain. So usually transactional leaders are not are not set of flexible leaders. They are people that mind the rule more than they mind the people. You understand? But that doesn't make them bad because sometimes these are the people that cure systems from abuse.
Now you said what I want.
These are the people that cures systemic abuses. Because sometimes a transformation leader can be so flexible that no line is respected again. Even though he's trying to bring out the good out of the person, before you know what's happening, you have compromised the standard that that company represents. You are trying to be transformational. You are trying to be helpful. You are trying to bring the best out of people. But then you will also have to understand that men have to be supervised.
Yeah.
And moderate laws have to be established so that people can always stay online. So what I believe is there is a very thin line between a boss and a leader. Most of the time, a leader appears to be more patient. You know, a boss looks at the vision. I mean, a leader looks at the vision, transformational leader. But a boss, or what you call transactional leader, he looks at the structure. He says this attitude is going to cause this structure to have issue. But a visionary person, a transformational leader, is the type that looks at the people and say, don't worry, you will help this vision. We cannot not just throw you out. We believe that there's still something inside of you. But when it comes to a boss, in his mind, he is thinking, you are employed to work, then you have to work. That's their difference.
Okay, that's a lot to consume. I need a lecture notes for this. Okay, thank you, Pastor David, for
I'm
having
very
me.
grateful.
I'm very, very honored to have you here in the show, People and Politics.
Always privileged.
To all our esteemed viewers out there, you heard it. You heard who is a boss, who is a leader, a difficult boss, and a boss that is actually following principles and all that. So I hope next time when you get to your workplace, you have to check yourself. Are you going through? Are you actually doing the right thing, or is my boss the difficult one, or I am the one disobeying and going out of the rules of the company or firm or institution wherever you work and all that. Thank you for staying with us in today's show, People and Politics. I hope to see you next Tuesday with my co-hosts. He's not here today, so I hope to see you next Tuesday. And don't forget to always subscribe to our YouTube channel, share, like, comment, and our Facebook. Share, like, comment, and also don't stop watching Life Center Network TV. Thank you and God bless you. Bye bye from the studio.
Bye.